we can't look back. Don't wanna turn in a north and south. Running and we can't look back. Don't wanna stay in a Babylon top on the sand. Running and we can't look back. Oh, computers, warmongers, them shooters, them looters. Computers, warmongers, them shooters, and them looters. I say computers, and them warmongers, and them shooters, and them looters. I say computers, warmongers, them looters, them shooters. Oh, we're running and we can't look back. Don't wanna stay in a Babylon top on yesterday. Running and we can't look back. Oh no, no salsa. Running and we can't look back. Don't wanna stay in a Babylon top on yesterday. Running and we can't look back. Oh no, no, no. Yellow river is blow, yeah. And my bed is stone, no. And why them sit and drown, runs down, yeah. We have to struggle for our own, my people. Running and we can't look back. Don't wanna stay in a Babylon, oh you swear. Running and we can't look back. Don't wanna turn in a north and south. Running and we can't look back. Don't wanna stay in a Babylon, oh you swear. Running and we can't look back. Oh. But King Rastafari is the most high. He lead I never die. King Rastafari is the most high. He lead I never die. King Rastafari is the most high. He lead I never die. King Rastafari is the most high. He leads I. Oh yeah. We can't look back. Don't wanna stay in a Babylon top on the side. Oh, I'm rolling and I go on, turning and no salsa. I'm on. Running and we can't look back. Oh, come on, I say we never gonna turn over back. Oh yeah, we running on. We can't look back. Now the top place to leave your side so right now. Yes, Jah.
Life is like a game of FIFA. You can kick it or you can reach your goals. Maybe you can do both. Maybe your music is known. You need to prove that you focus. I'm more than blowing that smoke. I'm on my Michael Jordan, Michael Johnson, Michael Jackson in his prime. Tiger Woods of this rap shit, been rapping my whole life. You just clubbing every night and be struggling on the mic. But the hustle isn't nothing when you in love with the grind. Moving product like I'm Nino. Mobbing like I'm CeeLo. Caribbean Latino, I be half Asian and gringo. Catch me with a rum on the rocks, walking the walk, girl on my job. Talking like she wanna take me back to a spot. Not from Houston, but I'm rapping a lot. Yeah, making music like you trapped in a box. I'm breaking the locks, changing the game, not chasing the charts. And if we on the same page, show me what you got. How you work.
DFCRadio.com.
Feeling so high. Roll up that hydro make me feel fine. Roll up that hydro make me feel fine. Cook up that hydro make me feel high. Feeling so high. Roll up that hydro make me feel fine. Roll up that
It's 5
hydro
o'clock.
make me
Let's
feel
kick that
fine.
oven on.
Cook up that
Let's get these
hydro,
customers
make me
served.
feel
We got a
high.
whole line of people ready to get their CBD, THC, and medicated edibles on. This is Farm to Table Cannabis. I will be entertaining you for the next hour before the Heavy Tea Grow Show. We got a good show lined up for you tonight. We're the only show offering you edible reviews, cooking reviews, and demos and interviews with the top names in the cannabis industry. And today we've got Wendy Kornberg coming on from Cannabis. Going to be talking about everything sun-grown, regenerative, sustainable gardening practices. Shoot, we might even talk about organics versus synthetics, KNF versus hydro. There's a lot to be going into when it talks about these subjects, and everyone's got an opinion on it. And really, there's no wrong way to grow. So we're going to get broken down by the true sustainable gardening OG herself, Wendy Kornberg from Cannabis. So you stay tuned for that. And then, what's up, Saint? How you doing today?
Doing good,
I see
man.
you growing your motherfucking hair out.
Oh, yeah, I got that hair, man. This is grower's hair.
Looking like-
Master grower hair.
Yeah, master grower Latino Jesus hair.
Right. You got to let it flow, like the garden leaves.
Like the Garden of Eden. So,
You know, you said about opinions, everyone got one, just like mids. Everyone got
like
some
mids, everybody's got some mids.
Yeah.
And we're here to help you get through the sea of mids in this evolving cannabis industry. And we also like to go through some news. And we always like to start off the show keeping you up to date on all the stuff going on in the industry, whether you're in the East Coast or the West Coast. So let's start it off in the East Coast today. As you know, New York just went legal.
Whoa.
And marijuana sales haven't even launched in New York yet. And the signing of the Adult Use Act by Governor Andrew Cuomo. And last month they made it official. And this week, Assemblywoman Patricia Fay introduced new legislation that would create a cannabis recycling program to minimize the amount of plastic pollution generated by the industry. So look, cannabis industry has a waste problem when it comes to packaging. Like every child-proof lid, every child-proof box, every plastic label, that all shit gets tossed away just as quick as you used to throw away the CD cover on the plastic bag back in the day when you buying some shit from Tower Records. Yeah, people don't remember that one. What? You throw your packaging away, it's a problem. In New York, this Assemblywoman, she wants to address this. So the bill will require any legally permitted recreational marijuana retailer to charge at least $1 deposit on single-use plastic containers for recreational marijuana products. The text states that the retailer would assume responsibility for collecting the used packaging and recycling it, as well as reimbursing deposits. So that's just one more thing to throw on the already overwhelmed entrepreneur trying to get into the cannabis industry. You got to take care of the plastic part. There's a sustainability side that goes into this too, but there's also some weird bureaucracy.
What other company or product you have to do all this for?
Well, what other industry?
Right.
Think about that. What other industry is regulated like this? And I say this all the time. Pull this shit on the beef ranchers.
Right.
Pull this shit on the cattle industry and watch how fast people revolt.
All that shitty meat on the shelf. I see that shit.
Or pull this on any other consumable industry. So yeah, there's a plastic problem in the industry. I'm not sure if this is the way to address it. I think maybe reduce some of the red tape that goes into getting these packages out there, because this is a good example here. All cardboard.
Right.
Shout out to our friends who were in here last week, Bird Valley Farms. You can see they give a shit about their their packaging. It's good. It's cardboard biodegradable. New York, you could take a page out of that book.
Right.
But so let's take it over to where is this? Where are we going out with this one? Well, I guess it's pretty much nationwide with this one. This company is going to. This is a perfect job for you, Saint. Like, I know you got a good job as a sound man, and you're also, holding it down as the Saint 562 on stage. But this company will pay you 42 racks a year to smoke weed.
What?
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah. So we're well beyond anything that you would ever expect. But we're to the point where cannabis is as the industry expands and legalization spreads, more and more people in the U.S. job industry would be, open to taking a job like this. And this includes the job from Vape.com. The company's looking to hire a full-time remote vaporizer tester, offering 42 racks a year plus 3 weeks of vacation. And there's also a $250 a month expense account to procure your products to put in your vaporizer being reviewed.
Oh, so you get to pick your products.
The company says the expense account can be used on cannabis, but if you don't live in a state where it's legal, you can still apply. You can use the expense account to get something else to put in the vaporizer. A representative tells Thrillist. So this article, it sounds fake, but it's the truth.
Sounds great.
I applied. It's going to be my side gig.
Send me the link.
That's the next thing right there. Fucking testing of cannabis.
I'll do it live on the show. That'll be extra. They'll have to pay extra for that, though.
So let's take it over to the motherfucking District of Columbia, where we got a couple of Republican senators and representatives trying to push for a bill that would allow medical marijuana users to still purchase guns in states where marijuana is legal. And first quote they say is, "There's no reason somebody who uses marijuana responsibly and legally should be barred from purchasing a firearm, and we're way past that. Gun saves lives," Director John Bosch said. Boach also went on to push and change is all about following the Constitution. We shouldn't be removing the constitutional rights of people to keep and bear arms just because there's a cannabis and recreational marijuana used. A person can possess a gun and use marijuana legally. However, marijuana users cannot purchase a firearm because marijuana use is not federally legal. So there's a big loophole going on here that these two are trying to address.
Always.
And this new bill would allow those that live in states where cannabis is legal to buy a firearm even if they use cannabis. He said that the people have chosen to legalize cannabis, so shit, why not be able to let them still bear arms too?
Right.
Weird world we live in right now. Because it's illegal to lie on the gun application when you're filling out that gun application.
Right.
And it says, are you or do you currently use cannabis, or are you a medical cannabis user?
Right, it's on there.
And you gotta fucking answer that shit legit. And depending on how you answer it is whether or not you get your right to defend yourself.
That's crazy. It's always been weed and guns. Like in Arizona, you were allowed to carry an open carry gun, unless you have weed on you. Then now it's a crime. So it's always been like together with the weed and the guns issue for some reason.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's going to be changing anytime soon because every law that goes in to legalize cannabis, it has an effect on the gun law. So this is just a small step in the right direction. So let's take it out to where are we at here? What take it all the way to Dallas. This is exciting.
Dallas.
The motherfucking first medical marijuana clinic is now open in Dallas, the Lone Star State. Lone Star Cannabis Clinic is Dallas' first provider to specialize in prescribing medical cannabis to eligible patients. Patients who meet the criteria set by the Texas legislature can book telemedicine appointments to see if medical cannabis is a good option for you. Hi, thanks for joining your telemedical conference. Can you explain your symptoms to me? Yeah, when I don't have weed, I'm a fucking dick. Oh, good. Well, we're going to get you signed up right now.
Right.
That's about how it goes.
Right. Hashtag don't be a dick.
Yeah, hashtag don't be a dick when you don't have weed. The clinic, which checkly opened in April 20th, was joined by a progressive stance towards marijuana prosecution in Dallas earlier this month. Police Chief Eddie Garcia began ordering his officers to stop charging those caught with small amounts of cannabis for personal use, and if a person has fewer than 2 ounces of weed, there is no evidence that they intended to sell it. Officers will confiscate the drug and send them on their way without ticketing them or a trip to jail. This new approach comes 2 years after District Attorney John Cruzet announced that the office would no longer prosecute small possession charges. Still, the policy continued charging residents caught with weed. The district attorney's office also rejected 3,000 cases from January through 19 through June 2020. So cannabis has been illegal in limited quantities and highly regulated within Texas, and only 2 cannabis distributors exist throughout the entire state. Both are limited, and they're making tinctures, lozenges, gummies for patients with specific diagnoses like cancer, autism spectrum disorders, other seizure disorders. But earlier, the legislative session, a bill was unanimously passed out of the committee that qualifies all cancer patients, not just terminal, those suffer from chronic pain and veterans diagnosed with PTSD. It would be allowed for them to consume cannabis. It would also allow Texas Department of State Health Services to expand qualifying conditions further without legislative approval. It would raise the THC concentration for cannabis from 0.5% to 5%. And while this isn't a law that will need to pass both the House and both the Senate and House unanimously with about a bunch of bipartisan committee, it's a good sign. It's a good sign that they're doing that. So, Texas, it's up to you now. Make this shit happen. Let's have some safe access for everybody in the Lone Star State. And that's the news according to the Hydro Chef. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick commercial break. Saint, you're gonna play your new track. What are we listening to on our way out here?
Let me pull it up real quick. I got something for you, right?
He's got something new, fresh off the streets of Long Beach.
Right, it's exclusive. You're only going to hear it here on DFZRadio.com. Let's go. It's called Stay High by the Saint 562. Let's go.
We gon' smoke. We gon' roll. We get high. We stay fly. We feelin' so fly. We feelin' so fly. Feelin' so fly. Yeah, you not. Baby looking good. Baby come and slide. Loving how you do it so right. You got that fire. I can't lie, I'm higher. We gon' ride tonight, huh? Baby girl, you right, huh? We can slide, we can dive. I ain't trippin', I ain't lying. We can get it all the time. I'm on my grind all the time. You know, stack that money, just stack that. Get that money, gon' pack that. Shorty looking good, got a nice ass. Shorty looking good, got a nice ass. We gon' roll, we gon' smoke. We gon' ride, we gon' go. Shorty bad, yes I know. Shorty bad, yes I know. We gon' ride, we gon' slide. All the time, we gon' fly. Baby girl, you so hot. Baby girl, we gon' fly. We gon' fly. And I ain't got time to waste, no. Get money all day, need the pesos. Baby looking so good, yeah, I'm grateful. Ain't got no time to waste, no. Drop it down, baby, won't you work it? Do it like that, yeah, you know you do it perfect. Do it like a pro, baby girl, you already know. Hop up in the whip, and we can roll on the coast, yeah. We gon' ride, we gon' smoke, we stay fly. We so blown, can't deny. We so fly, can't deny. We gon' ride, we gon' slide. We get high all the time. We so fly, can't deny. We gon' ride, we gon' slide. We gon' ride.
DFZRadio.com.
Yeah, this is Rudy with Cannabis Catered Events, and you're listening to DFC Radio, Farm to Table Cannabis with the Hydroponic Chef.
Launch crew, ready to reservoir.
What's the load factor, sir?
bringing the Riser Blast liquid at 2 mils per gallon.
Okay, sir. We are loaded and ready to launch.
10, 9.
Okay, men. It's time to blast off into the plant's root zone and into another galaxy of root growth.
Rhizoblast is a proprietary blend of seaweed and the single-celled algae chlorella. Chlorella's abundance of amino acids and minerals contribute to its value in hydroponics. The benefits used in Rhizoblast are explosive root growth, the use with any growing medium or hydro system, its ideal use for transplanting, and the enhancement in your plant vigor and fast-flowering plants. Let your plants have a blast and see a world of a difference with Rhizoblast from Botanicare. Check it out at www.botanicare.com.
DFCRadio.com.
All right, we're back. DFZ Radio. Saint, just clue them in one more time. What was that new track?
That song's called Stay High, and it's only on SoundCloud right now, or you can hear it right here on DFZ Radio by The Saint 562. One word.
Oh yeah, we're getting lit. We're pushing some gardening knowledge here. Phone lines are open, 562-653-0707. And we're about to jump into the interview part of the show. And I'd like to take a minute to give a warm DFZ Radio Farm to Table Cannabis welcome to Wendy Kornberg from Cannabis. And Wendy, why don't you say hi real quick?
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I forgot about LA traffic. I gave myself 45 minutes for a 20-minute drive and was still 15 minutes late.
Right.
So, yeah, right on.
The magical LA traffic will always slow down whatever you have planned. So, you know, we're bringing you on today. We wanted to talk about some of the sustainable gardening practices, and this is something that's really close to your heart and something you've been preaching for a long time. There's a lot of misinformation out there about sustainable gardening and Korean natural farming and, you know, everything that goes into growing cannabis sustainably and sun-grown. And we're going to put some of those myths to rest today and maybe shine a light on some of the subjects. So, you know, introducing yourself, you know, why don't you tell everyone where you're from originally and, you know, how you got into this whole lifestyle of sustainable gardening and cannabis.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, my name is Wendy Kornberg. I am the CEO of Cannabis, Humboldt's Full Sun Farms, and I'm actually a second-generation cultivator from Humboldt County. So up there in the Redwoods in Northern California. And, you know, I didn't really get into this life. I was just born into it. This was what everybody did back in the days.
She didn't choose the grow life. The sustainable life chose her.
Booyah! Yep. And, you know, originally back in the day when everybody was guerrilla growing before there was really much for indoor at all, everybody was more sustainable because you simply had to be. You know, you weren't in lights with, you know, nice little doors that you walked into.
There wasn't a grow store in every corner, too.
No grow stores. We had feed stores that you went into very discreetly and said, so I have these tomatoes, and I need my tomatoes to grow better.
And if you were lucky, there was one long-haired dude there that worked that was willing to give you some information, some of those secret tips. But a lot of this information about, you know, sustainable agriculture and no-till farming, a lot of this stuff hasn't been something that has been preached to everyone on the cannabis side.
Yeah.
It was talked about mainly for commercial agriculture on a, you know, craft level, not so much on something that people would apply to something on a commercial level.
Well, organics has become very, you know, commercially viable for all kinds of things. I mean, all like Safeways in California, you can't go into one without having a whole huge organic section. Northern California, the organic sections are larger than the conventional agriculture sections. So organic in general has definitely taken off, except for some reason with cannabis, which seems to be, you know, very odd and kind of opposite from where the rest of the world is heading towards, which is more sustainability. And yet in cannabis, we have people that are, you know, well, we're just going to make a bigger, better light. We're going to make LEDs that only take 25% less.
The Ocho LED, the 1,000-watt LED coming soon to your hydro store. Sold to you by Chadwick.
I've been trying to learn about lights, and I finally was just like, you know what? I use one light. It's a giant ball in the sky. Makes it real easy.
Well, there is something to be said about sun-grown cannabis. Yeah. You know, it does help enhance the natural characteristics of the plant. Mm-hmm. There's something that you get from outdoor that you don't get from indoor a lot, and that's UV.
Yep.
And UV is, you know, that's a natural insect repellent right there when it triggers the responses in your plant. So, when you're trying to apply everyone wants to grow for money right now, right?
Yeah.
And like when you think about growing for profitability, and then you think about growing organically, a lot of people have this misconception that it's more expensive to grow cleaner cannabis. But let's talk about that and what are some of the techniques and practices that might be a little bit more cost effective than people were led on to believe.
So one of the crazy things that's happening right now is all the science that's happening with soil science. So 20 years ago, we didn't know what was going on under the dirt at all. It was like, and 40 years ago, they were literally cooking soil.
Feeding the plant, not the soil.
Right. You'd be literally like IV feeding the plant because there was nothing in the soil that was actually happening. You talk with old-time farmers and old-time gardeners, I should say, not necessarily the farmers, but they would literally take coffee cans of dirt and bake it in the oven to sterilize it. That was what they thought you were supposed to do to get a healthy plant, was you put it in sterile soil and then you fed it fertilizers.
Kill the microbes, kill the microbes.
Kill it all.
Wow.
And what we see now is that the more that we learn about the soil food web and the way that it all works together and the way that everything interplays, the more we realize that, we absolutely knew nothing back then. We still don't really know a whole lot.
We're just scratching the surface.
We're just scratching the surface. But what we do know for sure is that the healthier the soil is, the healthier the plant is, the healthier the plant is, the less bugs you have, the less bugs you have, the less work you do because you're not spraying all the time.
And that's how you lower your costs.
And that's how you lower your costs.
You keep your costs down because a plant that's dialed in or a grow room that's dialed in, you don't have the pests and pathogens.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we talked about with our friends from Bird Valley Organics last week, doing very similar sustainable agriculture, is that when you've got the right pests that kill the bad bugs, it invites good pests to take care of so it's a sustainable IPM regimen when you set up the environment to host that.
Right.
And in order to host that, I think there's a little bit more technique that goes in there than to just plant the right color plant.
There is and there isn't. I mean, outdoor it's easier because we have natural predators that come in. But I also know that, a lot of people don't grow outdoor or they're in states where they legally can't grow outdoor, which is ridiculous, by the way. Like
we're still
everybody
putting people in jail for a plant, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that and now we're putting a plant in jail for people. We're saying you have to grow inside of a room. I'm like, well, you don't have to cage that thing up. Put it outside. You have a yard. Why not leave it out there? It's okay.
That's a good, different way to think of it. We're
up.
forcing people to lock up the plants.
Free the plants.
Free the plants.
The fucking plants.
I go the opposite way because everybody says free the people. I'm like, if we freed the plant, it'd be a lot easier, I think. But, well.
Well, when it comes to IPM strategies in a sustainable situation, and what are some of the strategies that you can take so that you can eliminate sprays?
So, we definitely know a lot more about predator insects. There's a ton of insectaries that actually produce all of these predatory mites and things like that. The problem with that, most people don't think that this biocontrol works because they're waiting until they have an infestation. Once you have an infestation, your biocontrol agents don't actually work because your pest population is too big. So you do have to use knockback
By the time
sprays.
you get to that point, it's too far gone.
It's too far gone. So proper scouting is really, really important. Proper IPM, integrated pest management, means hitting it before you have a problem. That's like the thing that I see a lot of growers miss is they're like, oh, help, what is this? And I'm like, oh, wow, that's like russet damage that is to the point that how did you miss that up until now? Like, you
I think
don't
a
look
lot
at
of
your
people
plants.
have a hard time identifying pests and what pathogens their plants have. And Saint, this leads us right into our first bit of the night with you. We're going to play one of our favorite games. Saint loves this game. He plays this game in his garden all the time. And sometimes when he goes to the doctor, the clinic, it's called, Is This Infected? So Saint's going to throw up a picture on the screen here.
Oh, jeez. All right.
And, you tell me if you think maybe there may be some sort of pest or pathogen. And something tells me this isn't going to be hard for you. But we've had other people in the studios who have struggled. They've talked a big IPM game, but then they couldn't tell a spider mite from an aphid or powdery mildew from shinola.
I'm not an entomologist and I'm not a plant pathologist, but I have been doing this for a long time and I've seen just about all of them. So we'll see how good we get, though.
All right, Saint. So let's pull up the first image of the day. this could get random. We never know what we're gonna get.
Are these are just random images, y'all? There's no like
random images.
All right, let me pull it
image
up
number
real quick.
1246.
Oh shit! He just pulled up a random LED. Well,
No, they can't see that yet.
That's infected.
That's just for our viewing pleasures. Okay, let's see.
The new thing with the LEDs. This is a funny thing.
Oh, he's like making like a grid. Oh dear.
Yeah,
All right.
someone hit me in the DMs. They're like, yeah, this light. It yielded too much. Like I was thinking about returning it. Like the yield was great, but the quality wasn't there. I was like,
oh,
dude, that sounds like it's your fault.
I know. I'm like, how is that the light's fault? I want to know what light this is, and I want to know what that person did.
So many people are
quick
so many people are quick to blame the environment or quick to blame the light or the nutrients for that matter. All right, here we go. First one over here.
All right, so we got this guy.
Is that it?
Right there.
Oh my
okay,
God.
So this is a winter wonderland right here. This one's a little bit dusty, as they say.
A little bit dusty. That's some like amazing powdery mildew.
Well, yeah. What's the pathogen we're dealing with there?
Powdery mildew.
Oh, that was an easy one.
That's an easy one. That's so far gone. You should have seen that. You
got to address that earlier.
Beforehand.
You can actually see the mites skiing
on
the powdery mildew.
Fresh powder. Yeah, when we're having trouble with the mountains in California, apparently you can go to that guy's grow room.
There it is, yeah. So Saint, pull up that next image. I know that was painful.
Yeah, that one's, oh my God.
I think I saw, spider mites there.
There we go.
Some
Spider
nice webbing
mites.
going on.
Well, hold on, I think we
you
got
can
a
actually
better spider
see
mite
the spider
picture.
mites on that. So up here you can see the little.
If you look close enough, you can see them doing a tightrope walk.
They're traveling.
Cue the music. I
think they're building suspension bridges there.
Damn, they are actually doing some globetrotters.
They're the Harlem Globetrotters of mites.
They're the mite globetrotters.
Right.
More than likely, those are two-spotted spider mites, TSSM. We get those frequently in cannabis.
And so,
Standard pest.
some people don't realize this, but the different spider mites call for different treatments.
Yes.
You
Okay.
cannot treat this, and this one might call for a nuclear bomb. What do we got there?
That is definitely a extreme infestation
That's
of
a
spider
category
mites.
5 infestation.
That's you're gonna get really good weight from those buds, but nobody's gonna actually want to smoke it.
You might have to call it
Right.
Ghostbusters for that one.
That one's about to hatch into another creature.
I think I just watched The Fly. I think that might be Jeff Goldblum in like a portion of that movie.
Oh my God,
What did he say?
Kill me.
And then Saint, one just for shits and giggles. Throw one more up there. Maybe a little. Oh my God. That's why Kanye left. That's why it's infected.
Oh dear.
Oh,
I
is
can't
that
believe you took
We
it
like
to
to
the
we
chef.
like to say cold sore, but I'm
Wendy,
pretty
is
sure
that
that's
infected?
herpes. So yeah.
Oh, that's infected.
Maybe she just got sucker punched. I mean, hard to tell from this angle.
All right.
Can't believe you did it like that. Chef.
So we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna get our smoke on, and then we're gonna come back and talk about some of these natural additives that people can put together in their own farm, and through your recipe and your technique, they can even get their own fertilizer, and they don't have to buy fertilizer from me.
That's right, and you can drink it too.
Whoa.
We're gonna drink it. We're gonna make him drink it.
We're drinking
guys.
fertilizer here on Farm to Table Cannabis, DMZRadio.com.
Smoky wherever, any endeavor. I'll smoke whoever, I stay high forever. Now the rules gone. I've been taking so many drugs, what are you on? Used to hate me, now they wanna play me my songs. And I don't think they will understand. Working hard like a businessman to have the things that I never had. I went through some lessons on lessons. I put in that work, now it's blessings on blessings. Like nothing can stop me, like Iron Man armies. I keep that shit on me, just telling you, homie, I'ma get me what I deserve. While I drive with a little swerve, with a fogged out car while I'm smoking the bomb, getting top driving in reverse. Gotta pay all the haters, no mind, and waiting until I get signed. After the money, while you acting funny, be calling and wasting my time. Gotta pay all the haters, no mind, and waiting until I get signed. After the money, while you acting funny, be calling and wasting my time. Now the rules gone. I've been taking so many drugs, what are you on? Used to hate me, now they wanna play me my songs. And I don't think they will understand. Working hard like a businessman to have the things that I never had. Gone. I've been taking so many drugs, what are you? If I'm rolling up some trees, you can smoke with me. I like the blunt. I like the blunt. If I'm rolling up some trees, you can smoke with me. I like the blunt. I like the blunt. Rest in peace, Bob Marley. My blunt got a cold cut, Steve Harvey. I catch the buds with my glove, Steve Garvey. Quick to roll in the club, 'cause we party. They asking where the bomb at, 'cause everybody in the club smell that. It's Breeze, your loaded TV. Smoke about a pound every day of the week. Roll so fast you didn't see him coming your way. Turned around and there was a blunt up in your face. You must have thought that I was finished. The Breeze is never stingy with the spinach. Rolling up some trees. You can smoke with me. I like the blunt. I like the blunt. If I'm rolling up some trees, you can smoke with me. I like the blunt. I like the blunt.
I love the stickiest weed, 'cause I'm a Cali baby. Started from that chocolate tie from them early 80s. Now it's OG, a perfect mix with my OE. The shot of lean had a G moving slowly. Apparently, you ain't never smoked like me. Load these switches up like they was some magazines. I got some bad bitches rolling up blunts for me. Hop in the rotation, true story you can see. Even your bitch eyeball.
We're back, DFZ Radio Farm to Table Cannabis. We've got none other than sun-grown Cannabis in the building. Wendy Kornberg breaking down everything organics and sustainable. And you know me, dude. I am the salt king. I am the liquid nutrient master. I am the hydro commander. The guy who thinks there's only a couple ways to do it, and they're all my ways. So getting outside of my comfort zone and talking organics. We already know I was going to make up some bad questions like I did last week asking about regenerative farming, but I won't make that same mistake with you, Wendy. But you're about to lace our tennis shoes on some nutrients that you can make in a sustainable way for your own grow environment at home, and you don't even have to go to the local hydro store. Not that we're against that, just we want people that, are doing it the sustainable way to have the knowledge readily available to you like it wasn't available to us.
Yeah. And, we still support our grow shops and everything. I still buy all kinds of stuff from them, but I don't buy fertilizers. And so I noticed you've got some, general hydroponics root growth and something else I can't see from over here.
Generally organic over here. Generally organic.
Yeah. Would you drink it?
I don't think I could. No.
You don't, right.
I think, in fact, it says right on the back of the bottle it doesn't recommend for consumption like
Not
that.
for human consumption.
Right.
So the raddest part about what we do on our farm is our Korean natural farming supplement line, all of our inputs are all for human consumption as well. You can get it on you, you can get it in your eyes, you can get it on your hands, and you can drink it. And we're going to do that.
And that is amazing. And one of the things that piques my ear about that, other than being safe, right? Because, when you're dealing with fertilizers, you have to be safe. You have to take care of, make sure things aren't getting on your skin. Other than the safety part of it, what are some of the benefits that you would get from brewing, right, your own fertilizer?
Yeah, so this is actually, we're going to start with a vinegar. So this is a homemade vinegar, okay? So this is made from squash and cucumbers, and this was originally a fermented plant juice, or fermented fruit juice, I should say, FFJ, which is used to enhance ripening. Generally, we don't really use it in cannabis too much, but it's fun to make for the other crops that I grow.
I could sip on that.
It's good, right?
I could put that over a carrot and cucumber salad and just, that's awesome.
So that is homemade vinegar from 2019.
I'm not even changing the flavor in my mouth with the beer. I don't need nothing to wash that down with. That's shootable there by itself. And that's plant food.
That's plant food. So that's a pH balancer, basically.
So that's what's going to help bring your neutral to where it needs to be. It's going to help you adjust your soil so the plants can uptake other nutrients. So you've got to be able to adjust the soil because nitrogen's absorbed at a certain pH, phosphorus is absorbed at a different pH. So you're going to have different, I guess we'll call these brew tinctures or nutrients that you would have for different stages of grow.
Yeah.
So this is, right out the rip.
The vinegar is actually used in all of them. It's
the
used
same vinegar base.
Same vinegar base you can use. Traditionally, Korean natural farming recommends a rice vinegar, but for us, we know that we can make our own vinegars. These are live vinegars, so we use a mother in them to get things kick-started.
And
so
when
it's a
they
little
say
bit
the
shorter.
mother, that means there is a perpetual batch of vinegar that they're almost like a starter for sourdough. They always go to that original mother batch to start each batch that comes after that.
Yep. And if you lose your mother, it doesn't matter. You can buy Bragg's apple cider vinegar with the mother and use that as your new Kickstarter.
All right, so this one right here, homemade pH. If you want to do it at home, here's your recipe.
All right. So, unfortunately, we got to kind of back it up a minute because you have to start with FPJ, fermented plant juice.
Okay, so what plant juice is this?
Thistles.
Thistle.
Yeah.
Thistle, my nissel.
So fermented plant juice, you really want to use something wild, something that is incredibly vigorous in and of itself, like without any human interaction, no cultivation on it. The thistles where I live grow prolifically. They're a horrible nuisance, but they make a wonderful plant food.
So what is base nutrient?
This is for grow cycle. Also use it for bloom cycle. We also use it for something called maintenance solution, which is for anything you want. Nope, not high in nitrogen. And actually, the crazy thing about KNF is you have to stop thinking NPK. This is not an NPK thing. Everything is super highly micronized because we use microbes to ferment the plant material. And in order to get it fermenting, all this is right here that you're about to drink is thistles that have been chopped up into little bits and pieces and added a 1-to-1 ratio to sugar.
This
raw
smells like
sugar.
fish food, but let's do it.
No, I didn't bring you the fish food. I didn't bring you FAA.
Wow, that's sweet. Mm-hmm. A lot of amino acids in there. You can just tell by like how much whatever's going on in there. That's got to be like some thicky.
It's all the plant juices that have been micronized. So basically, sugar creates an osmotic pressure, which extracts all the juices from the plant material. The microbes that are on the surface of the plant begin to ferment what's there, and it micronizes all the NPK and all the other micronutrients and things that whatever's in that growing plant, including the growth hormones.
So it makes it more available and triggers the growth hormones that are going to help to things like closer internodal spacing.
Yep.
Or if, say, you want stretching, you can activate different things with different mixes.
Yep. FAA, fish amino acid, which I didn't bring because it's a little more on that, like, I didn't want to push you too hard. I was going to be gentle.
This is a nice ease into the, consuming my nutrients that my plants do.
Yeah.
The fish emulsion, it's something different, but just because we don't want the listeners to miss that on it, the fish emulsion's got the highest plant building proteins.
And I'm actually going to interrupt you and say it's not emulsion because that's a different process.
Okay.
So fish hydrolysate, fish amino acid, and fish emulsion are all fish products, but fish emulsion is usually ground and heated, and it's got all the bones and everything else in it. Okay. It's a little bit lower quality. It tends to be gritty. You can't water with it. If you're going to fertigate, it's going to be really a problem. Fish hydrolysate is a cold processing that's similar, but it's not ground, and it's at a cooler. And then fish amino acid is actually similar in the way we make the fermented plant juice, that we use the brown sugar, and then you use an indigenous microorganism or leaf litter, so any type of fungal growth that's happening that's out in nature, so not like from your compost pile. You put that in, that helps break down the fats, and what you're doing is you're taking the proteins and break them back down into the amino acids.
And that's making
a nitrogen supplement for your plants. So you use that during vegetative growth.
And when you bring it back to the fish, you're talking about the cold pressing and the not grinding it. The reason you're doing that is to preserve those beneficial qualities, because when you steam things or when you smash things, it's kind of leading to I guess the
sterilization again. So we're all of this stuff is all living not all of it. Most of it is living to some extent. We're using microbial activity, beneficial microbes on the leaf surfaces to break it down and make it bioavailable. These are also, by the way, all of this stuff that we're drinking when we use it in the garden, we're using it at like a 1 to 500 to 1 to 1,000 ratio.
So it's super concentrated.
Super concentrated. And for anybody that starts down the KNF road and actually doesn't have any learning in this, the most common mistake we all do is we go, I don't know how to use this. So they either dump on fermented plant juice, which is usually what people start with. They'll dump it on straight. which burns things and also causes amazing amounts of ants and other bugs that come in because it is, as you tasted, very sweet. There's a lot of sugar in it. So I did that the first time. I absolutely fried my tomato plants.
That's the same thing you can do with fertilizers from the store. You can do with your organic fertilizers. So
absolutely.
Just like in cooking, you can always add more, but you can't take it away.
You can't take it away.
Use sparingly.
All right.
Listen up.
Oh, we're moving on to another flavor?
Yeah.
Okay, you saw my eyes light up. I'm going to switch some beer around real quick, get myself back to
neutral.
Yeah,
You got to reset that palate. Clear it out.
And I actually have,
so, Saint's looking over there like he might want to try some.
I know. Do you want to try
nutrients.
some? That's what I was thinking. I have cups.
Saint, you know what? You're looking, Saint, you're looking a little deficient, bro. You need, you either need some CalMag or,
He needs FFJ. This is like the best nutrient. You'll dig this one.
Okay.
Saint, this is good.
Yeah,
all right, I'm gonna do it.
He definitely needs some fish hydroxylate.
We actually did eat 3-year-old FAA meat. It was amazing.
What? Crazy.
All right, but this is not that. This is citrus FFJ, so fermented fruit juice made from citrus. Like this fermented plant juice, but this was made with a vineyard that I am that I've helped advise and consult with, and friends of mine that are running 10 acres this year with Korean Natural Farming out of 750 acres that they manage. They did 1 acre last year, and they're bumping it up. They're seeing really great success rate with the grapes. But I got up super early when I was at their place and raped their grapefruit, their lemon, and their lime and their mandarin trees, and we made this amazing fermented fruit juice.
So if the last one was for a veg or cloning, what would this be for?
So this is for human health, really. Like it's so good. This is not something I would use on plants ever.
Oh, wow. You need to mix that with some olive oil, put it over a salad.
Yes, exactly. With a little
marinate some fish in that.
Yep. With some club soda and vodka.
Glaze it. Yeah, that's next level right there.
Yeah, it does. It look like apple cider vinegar, but it doesn't taste like it. It has its own flavor.
And so this citrus is only used on citrus. There's a few things in KNF that are a little different that are very specialized. So citrus for citrus, grapes for grapes, and I believe it's persimmons for persimmons, and I'm not sure entirely why about that one, but everything else like thistles.
Tastes good.
It's funny they work together synergistically.
Yep. Everything else goes the other direction. Like a lot of people go for cannabis fermented plant juice, and it's like it yields horribly. It's usually you have to do it with the growing tips of the plant, so people are making it out of the big, huge fan leaves that don't have any growth hormone left in it. There's not a lot of microbial activity on it, and it's kind of a mess. And I haven't seen any difference on side-by-side trials. So don't waste your time.
Heaven forbid when you're growing, you start to see a deficiency, and you need to address something fast. Mm-hmm. Everyone, that's always wanted to use the liquid nutrients is because it's so quickly available. They can see their plant react fast. What can you do in a regenerative situation, a KNF situation, where you can speed up, kind of use as a catalyst to help activate that bioactivity and get your plant to see results faster when you're using organic ingredients? Is there anything people can do? Yeah,
well, actually, KNF is usually a foliar. Like, you can do soil drench with it as well, but it is much more efficient as a foliar, and we've seen response within 12 to 24 hours of a plant that's showing deficiency. You're giving it a spray with whatever
and how would you use that thistle plant extract as a foliar feed?
So the thistle, FPJ, fermented plant juice, OHN, which is this right here.
Let me do this citrus, because I'm stuck on this citrus.
I know, it's so good. So FPJ, OHN, and vinegar are your 3 bases. They're in every single thing that you do, no matter what. And that's considered a maintenance spray. If you don't want to add anything else to it, your plant isn't showing any deficiencies, you're just using those 3. OHN is Oriental Herbal Nutrient, and it is basically a tincture that is made out of 5 different herbs. So there's angelica, garlic, ginger, cinnamon, and licorice. It takes 3 months to make this. So when you're starting it, you want to do the biggest batch you can stand because you're stirring it every single day for 3 months. You do 5 extractions, 5 or 3. Yeah, 5 or 3.
But the reason why there's multiple extractions is because you get more microbes when you do that? Or?
No, this one is one of the non-microbial active ones. So this is literally you do a 1 week ferment with brown sugar and your wet ingredients. So brown sugar and ginger, brown sugar and garlic in separate jars. And then you rehydrate your dry ingredients with beer, and then you ferment with brown sugar. And then you start tincturing it with vodka. So the thing is, your herbs have enough strength in them that you can actually do these extractions. You do partial extractions every 3 weeks. And what that does is it gets you to a larger amount at the end, and it makes it stretch further. Because a lot of what we're doing too, this is all, traditional knowledge that has been passed down through Asian cultures. And when you get over into some of these countries, there's not a lot of money. So they figured out how to make sure you get the most you can get from whatever the thing is that you're making.
So you're telling me that Korean natural farming actually comes from Korea and not from Masonic at Compton?
Well, it comes from a lot of places, and it depends on which ideology you want to follow. But
tell me a little bit about because there's so much misinformation out there about where Korean natural farming started, why KNF growers feel like they are a little bit more into their plants than the salt users. And I think brewing your own nutrients is a great example of how much more time you have to put into it. But talk about the history of it and, why you decided to go with that method out of your entire life growing up, seeing the struggle and still keeping it going.
Yeah. So Korean natural farming, there's a gentleman named Master Cho. And he kind of put this whole system together. He gained a lot of knowledge from other Asian cultures. And some of these things he actually dreamed. So, there is some amount of people that go like, oh, geez, like the guy who channels the woo-woo. But, the thing is, it all works really well. So, and then we start getting into the science of it. Like, okay, why does OHN work? Like, well, we go into Chinese herbal medicine, and these are all warming agents. Warming agents increase your circulation, which means that your blood is moving through faster, which means you can beat pathogens.
This with their bodies first, and then applied this to the plant world.
I believe so. I'm not entirely sure about that, honestly. But like we said, this is all meant for human health. So the OHN is how I really, when I dove into this, and the OHN I got really into because I have 2 little children. And at the time, they were, I think, they must have been 3 and 5 or 4 and 6, somewhere in that age. And, they're little germ factories. They bring home every single germ they could possibly.
It's in a package.
Yeah.
And nothing that's got skin on it.
Oh, mine don't even eat the things in packages. They're like, look what I found on the ground. It's delicious. I'm like, that's gum that somebody chewed. Oh, my God, spit it out. So basically, we were getting every cold, flu, virus under the sun. I would get sick 2-3 times a year. They got sick, every month at least. I don't even know. And I started learning about KNF, Korean Natural Farming, and I learned about OHN, and I was like, oh, this is supposed to be like an immune booster. I'm going to start with making that because it takes a long time, and it seems fairly simple. I'm not confused about it. It's a tincture. I've made tinctures. And I started taking it.
Because that's essentially what the FPJ is, right? It's a thistle tincture?
It's not really tincture because there's no alcohol in it. Okay. So it's a fermentation. It's not even really a fermentation, but they will bubble. Like when you're first starting, it actually has effervescence. Bottles, chef. Yeah, exactly. The citrus FFJ, you notice there's a little effervescence to it, just a touch.
I was surprised at how much that plant juice tasted nothing like
plants. Yeah. it has some, and different ones taste different. So like the seaweed one that I make really does taste a bit like seaweed. It makes amazing kettle corn.
Do you use the green seaweed or red seaweed?
My favorite is bladderwrack, but unfortunately we have a huge problem with bladderwrack right now. The population is being decimated and nobody really knows what's going on. So I have very quickly in the last month really started moving away from encouraging
hard to justify
the
using
seaweed.
That when it's on its way out.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's differences. People don't realize different seaweeds activate different hormone responses in the plants. They trigger different immune responses. Maybe for some of our listeners, for the green sea kelp, why that would be better in veg, and why the red sea kelp might be better in bloom. Because I always hear it, but I don't really know why.
We don't really have the red seaweed, so a lot like the KNF. The whole thing here is like you're supposed to be closing your loops. That means like keeping things on your farm, doing things locally. So the less that I am bringing onto my farm, the less waste, less plastic. So a lot of the fermented plant juices are made from the weeds that are on my farm. the seaweed is the one that I will go off farm to do. And
That's a little bit harder to source.
It's harder to source, but we all know kelp is amazing for plants. We all know, that the benefits behind it. But because we don't have red seaweed, I just kind of didn't really go too deep down into that wormhole. But I'll probably do a bull kelp this year, so I'll probably get on a wetsuit and go swim out into the ocean and try and harvest some bull kelp. So that'll be fun.
Well, there you go. While you're down there, grab me some oysters too.
Yeah,
I heard they got abalone.
Abalone.
Yes.
And actually, low tide, I have managed to pry an abalone off with my hands. One of the first times I went out for seaweed.
That is
it was
not
amazing.
For the weak.
I was so proud. I was like, oh my gosh, I got it off, and it's big enough to keep.
And it's good eats.
It's so
really
good.
Eats. We damn near farmed them to extinction
Yeah.
because they were so damn good to eat.
Yep.
So, Saint, I think we can take a quick commercial break and we'll have enough time to come back. And we'll roll on until Heavy T walks into the studio and kicks us out and pries this KNF from my cold dead hand.
Kush got me fired up. It got me fired up. Perk got me gone. I don't know what's on my mind. Ain't no way I'm coming down. Where you at? I'm on cloud 9 and I'm fucked up. Yeah, you know I'm out my brain. Roll it up, light it up. Yeah, you know I pack that flame. Pack that flame. Yo, now I'm fired up. Oh, I be fired. Perk got me fired up. It got me fired up. Yo, I be fired up. Oh, I be fired. Tell 'em, gone and fired up. Man, gone and fired up. Hold up. Let me go and roll one up. If I roll up two, I'm stuck. If I roll one more, I'm fucked. Feeling like I'm off on a spaceship. Ain't no squares in my circle. Smoke this and I bet you a shapeshift. I'm so turned up when I burn out. You know I'm about to burn up. Go ahead and roll a perp up. This shit be the truth like I'm smoking on Sojourn up. I'm fired up. Baby mama got me tied up. But I ain't tripping when she get the sipping. She'll fall asleep and I'm wide up. Wide awake and I'm about to creep up on the yellow freak. We done fucked around and smoke the G. Her lips on me like she smoking me. Smoking me. Smoking that. Chronic sack. Back to back. Perp looking like another shade of black. I'm fired up and I'm faded jack. Faded jack. Perp got me gone. I don't know what's on my mind. Ain't no way I'm coming down. Where you at? I'm on cloud 9 and I'm fucked up. Yeah, you know I'm out my brain. Roll it up, light it up. Yeah, you know I pack that flame. Pack that flame. Yo, now I'm fired up. Oh, I be fired. Perk got me fired up. It got me fired up. Yo, I be fired up. Oh, I be fired. Tell 'em, gone and fired up. Man, gone and fired up. Okay, well I'm loaded. LOADED, I'm scoping for another bad bitch. If it ain't a bad bitch, then I'm ducked off somewhere smoking. Floating, I know you want some, but you can't get this. Exclusive shit got me so lifted, and I'm rolling up trees like it's Christmas. But it ain't dope. Never ever smoke with a lame hoe. Unless she talking about giving brain or letting my niggas run the train hoe. Yeah, I'm on the track and I'm doing damage. Sack after sack, don't know how I'm standing. Stay with trees like a nigga camping. You shooting threes, I'm out here slamming. Dunking on niggas. Game time, 24/7, I claim mine. Money too long, guarantee. If you wanna get down, you better have the same grind. Smoking lime, call it Kush, no Reggie Miller or Reggie Bush. Step back, take a second look. You Captain Crunch, I'm Captain Kush. Perk got me gone. I don't know what's on my mind. Ain't no way I'm coming down. Where you at? I'm on cloud 9 and I'm
Hi, and welcome to Non-Specific Hydro.
Yeah, hey, I have a buddy of mine that was telling me about a great additive.
Okay, do you remember the name?
Yeah, his name's Steve. He's a good buddy.
No, the product.
No, he told me it was a super concentrated organic enhancer. Comes in a yellow bottle.
Well, it sounds like he's talking about Floralicious Plus from General Hydroponics.
I don't think that was the name, but he also told me it was a vegan bioplant stimulator that contained vitamins, plant sugars, amino acids, seaweed extract.
Yeah, that would be General Hydroponics Floralicious Plus.
I don't think that's it, man. He told me it was something like Dora Vicious Flush or something, and he said it was like an organic supplement that could also be used in vegging or flowering, and that was compatible with hydro, soil, and cocoa.
Yes, that would be General Hydroponics Floralicious Plus.
Oh, hey, man. I just remembered what it's called. It's Floralicious Plus.
Oh, good. I was drawing a blank.
Floralicious Plus from General Hydroponics. Ask for it by name.
What up, people? It's your girl, Justina Valentine, and I'm rocking out with the Saint 562. Let's go.
And you know I had to get Floralicious commercial in while we're talking about Korean natural farming. I just, it's all I know. I just push so much salt. I'm so salty. I'm like the Morton salt fucking guy. So you also do a lot of training and educating too. You've been asked to speak at multiple events. I know COVID's kind of put a shit on events, but you got another event coming up that's like a 5-day educational seminar built around the natural farming and commercial cultivation. You want to talk about some of the techniques you're going to go over and promote the event?
Well, you kind of need to come to the event to really learn, but
you don't get the information for free. Buy a ticket.
Actually, I give a lot of information for free all the time. I also moderate for a Facebook group, or admin, I should say, for a Facebook group called Organic Cultivators. And so that's where you can find a lot of this stuff for free, not just with Korean natural farming, but other organic stuff too. But this class specifically, it's going to be in Oklahoma. I think we're doing it September 11th through the 17th. So there's going to be 4 days of really intensive classes, 1 day that's going to be a little more mellow, and then, a pre-event check-in and a post-event check-out process, VIP party. And
the people are going to be juiced because it's an event. We haven't had an event in so long.
Yeah.
So check it out at eventhigh.lo.events, natural farming for commercial culti 47. And you can do that at Event High, events, natural farming for commercial culti.
Yeah, and there's 3 of us, 3 teachers. So myself, Chris Trump, who is my mentor in Korean natural farming, who comes from a standard horticultural background. Actually, they have the largest the oldest macadamia nut farm. It's either largest or oldest, I forget which. Apologies, Chris. In Hawaii. And they've been doing Korean natural farming there for over a decade on their trees. And so he's got a great story about that. And then as well, another natural farmer of ours, compatriot named Michael Drexler, who's up in Washington and has been running KNF at commercial size for, 4 or 5 years, I think, something like that.
Doing it for all the right reasons and doing it with the right people. So come on out to Oklahoma. It's at the new Omni in Oklahoma City. And you can learn something. The knowledge is free. All you got to pay is attention.
And a ticket. You got to buy the ticket. But the other thing too about this, speaking of, prices and things, one of the reasons I know you asked and I forgot to get to it was, why did I get into KNF specifically? And for me in California, being a legacy cultivator, and when you could buy things, I could buy that jug of whatever it is for $500 and not blink an eye. It didn't matter because prices were so great, margins were wonderful.
4 Ks a pea, baby.
No problem, all day long. And we did ourselves a disservice also when we talked about outdoor. All of our outdoor was sold as indoor hydro back in the day, and I didn't care because it didn't matter because I was getting a good price. So you can sell for whatever you want.
Not realizing that it
now
was
we're
setting things up harder for later.
Yeah.
We should have stayed at that.
Yeah.
Shit, I didn't see green weed till I was yet a man.
Yep.
I grew up on the brown weed. I grew up on outdoor seed Pretendica.
Yeah, well, that was Mexican brickweed too, so or BC buds, right?
I sold my first car for a kilo of that shit. Weed was more important than driving. So let's see what's next on this natural fertilizers that you've produced, because this is the Oriental herbal
nutrient. Yeah.
I couldn't do
OHN. So this is basically the tincture that we talked about.
It's the
Yes, you stir clockwise every day when you wake up. Own. And it's a warming tincture, and it's basically immune booster for the most part. Is kind of the way that we, dumb it down to people.
Wendy.
It is. It's a little spicy.
There's some capsaicin in there.
No, there is not, sir. There is no capsaicin, no peppers,
Really?
no
Wow.
peppers. Cinnamon, angelica, ginger, garlic. Oh, I guess, does garlic have capsaicin? I don't think so. I don't think so, right?
That's a pepper's trait.
Yep. But
Well,
but there's
let's
raw
shoot it.
garlic.
To KNF and everything that I thought I knew but had no idea. I will definitely, I will not stop making memes about KNF, but I will show a little bit more respect in those memes.
Oh, we
Make
love
sure
it.
I know.
You know what? Any press is good press.
So that was probably the hardest one of the night. We probably should not have started with that one, right? Yeah. Gotta finish with that one. Mhm.
Actually,
a lot of ginger taste in that.
Yep, that one does have that.
What benefits do you get, not just from yourself and your own inoculations and a moon boost? What would you get in your plants for that?
Strong, healthy plants. So, we last year, people are like, well, what did you fertilize with? What did you, put on your plants? What's your pesticide plan? I'm like, I don't have one anymore. I don't do anything.
My
I just
plants
use
are
this.
so healthy, they don't need it.
It's true.
So this is a 6 o'clock hour at DFZ Radio. We're going to be checking out here in a minute when Heavy T comes walking through the door. But before we take a break, and we'll bring you back on for the Heavy T show, time permitting, with the interview they have. But, who gave you your chance back in KNF originally? Who gave you your chance, and who do you want to give a shout out to?
So again, my mentor is Chris Trump. I took class from him, and I saw basically what was happening with the California industry, and I started preaching before 64 passed. When it looked like it was going to pass, I was like, we all better tighten ships because this is going to get real expensive. And I learned about KNF, and I went, if I can make everything myself, I want to see if I can take this down to spending less than $1,000 on my nutrient line for the entire year. And went down from $2 per square foot of inputs to 20 cents.
Nice.
So it was that for me was the mind-blowing moment of oh my gosh. And we're still winning awards with our weed. So quality hasn't suffered.
Sweet.
Yield doesn't suffer. It doesn't go up. It doesn't necessarily increase, but quality, year after year, I'm this is easier and easier. I sit in my garden.
Cannabis.
What I do mostly now when I go in my garden is I sit and take pictures of my feet. It's great.
Marketing, right now, how do you market at all costs and still hold on to the culture? Because it's a huge thing to market right now, and you guys are doing it for the culture.
Yeah, it's a lot of just not being afraid anymore, stepping out from behind what we call behind the redwood curtain or behind the green curtain, right? Coming out of the cannabis closet and just being vocal about what we do and saying, hey, we were here before you guys even knew what the hell you were smoking. We're still here. We're not going anywhere. And just learning how to work as a group and get really vocal about what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, and starting to come back together as a community, marketing together.
How has the community accepted you as a cannabis brand, and how do you give back?
I get amazing support from my community. It's really, really cool. I was one of the first people. I joke that my sister outed me from the cannabis closet in 2016. We entered 2 flowers. We'd never entered a contest before. We put 2 into the Emerald Cup, and they both placed in the top 20. I think we had 17th and 9th. And she posted a picture on Facebook, and she's like, my sister just killed it in the Emerald Cup. And I was like, oh, man. I had family that didn't really know we were doing that yet. Okay, well, jig is up.
Well, what are some of the products you guys put together with your sun-grown cannabis?
We used to have a full product line. I'm a formulator also, so I did all kinds of skincare things, but with California manufacturing laws, it was just too much, so that's been tabled for a while.
Flower.
So it's just flower right now. Yeah, we co-brand with Redwood Roots, so there's 8th jars of our Surfin' Bird, which just won 15th in the... Bird is the word of bird. Yeah, I sang that all year long. It was horrible.
Fucking trash man. I'm the trash man. I'm the garbage man.
So that took 15th in the Emerald Cup. That's co-branded with Redwood Roots. We have some Green Dragon that'll be hitting the shelves of our local dispensary in Redway. That took first place in the Feast of Flowers. And I don't know. We've just basically are heading into distribution land right now with our flower because, prices crash in December and January and February. So now that they're finally coming back around again, I'm like, all right, I'm not going to take $800 a pound because I know, how much the taxes cost. We're just finally due with, I think, over $60,000 in taxes and permit fees in the next 2 months. So good times.
Jeez, yeah. And I mean, people don't understand all that goes into a cannabis brand, the trials, the tribulations, the up, the down, the bureaucracy. But we're about to wrap up. We're going to kick it for a few. We're going to take a couple dabs. And before we go, we're going to take it out to Surfin' Bird by the Trash Man on YouTube. So we got to make sure he pulls out the bird is a word. And that's Surfin' Bird by Trash Man, just in case Saint was listening.
I'm listening. I'm working right now.
And then the Heavy Tea Grow Show starts here in about 10 minutes. You can call in 562-653-0707. Wendy's going to be lacing some tennis shoes on some K&F farming. We got Botanic here calling in, selling some salt nutrients. And shoot, you might even learn something if you call in and win. So DFZ Radio, Farm to Table Cannabis. Bird's the word. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you to our guest, Wendy.
Thank you for having me.